But today we also saw something happen on the Wisconsin side. So we're waiting until the 25th in Illinois, but in Wisconsin, there's been something interesting happened today. And if you look closely at the court record here, this is directly from the Wisconsin courts, and you can see here we have a new attorney has entered the game. So last week I talked about L. Lynn Wood and we talked about John Pierce, but we have a new individual here who is Mark Richards. Mark Richard entered his appearance today, so 9/16, and this is all we've got. We've got a notice of a retainer, and the additional text is Attorney M. Richards. And so, I certainly shared some of my concerns about the prior attorneys, the preceding counsel that were on the Rittenhouse case. But let's take a look at this new individual, Mark D. Richards. Now, before we dive into his bio, it's important to note that we really don't know what's going on with Kyle Rittenhouse and his attorney situation. We can only see this minute entry that was entered onto Wisconsin court website, but Mark Richards could be sort of an of counsel, or he could be somebody who's appearing, who's part of the Linwood team or of the John Pierce team, but because he's actually licensed in Wisconsin, he's going to be the attorney who's boots on the ground doing those things. Remember, we talked about the two other attorneys, and they're not even from Wisconsin. I don't think they were really even criminal lawyers, and I highly doubt that they know anything about Wisconsin procedure or the Wisconsin prosecutors or the Wisconsin judges or even the Wisconsin laws. I mean, you can read the laws and learn those things, but there's something special about practicing in a certain area and getting a feel for how people do things and how the judges sentence people and what kind of oral arguments they're going to listen to and what types of motions they'll entertain. And this is why it's kind of called practicing law, right? If anybody could just read a statute and apply facts to that statute, you could have computers do the law. But what we're talking about here are personal relationships and what are the demographics of this particular jurisdiction and how do the prosecutors act and so on and so forth. So, it's very important that they have a local component. And so I don't know at this point in time whether Mark Richards is his new attorney, if he's going to be replacing the other two attorneys, if he's going to be handling the Wisconsin case entirely, or if he's just sort of an extension of the other attorneys who's brought in to just step in and help provide some guidance and some counsel as this goes forward. But I think it's good news either way, right? I think it's very important that we have somebody who is competent, who is on Kyle Rittenhouse's team. Not to say that the other two are not incompetent, but they are incompetent, but they've got some issues. Clearly, we spent almost an hour dissecting through all of them. And my position was, when you have other attorneys, you've got so many outstanding issues that are sort of overshadowing the client's case. Those attorneys, they got to deal with those issues and get rid of them so they can focus on the case, or the client needs to get a new attorney. You got to look out for the best interest of the client, of the defendant, the person who's sitting in custody. Kyle Rittenhouse is still sitting in custody. And a lot of what I have seen from the other two attorneys are more talking about, I don't even know what they're talking about, quite frankly, but it's not on point. And so when I saw this today, I was pleasantly surprised. So let's take a look at Mark Richards. Mark D. Richards, and his bio comes from his website, which you can check out. If you just Google his name, Mark D. Richards, you will find it. And it says here, for over 30 years now, Mark D. Richards is focused on providing quality representation as a criminal defense attorney. So 30 years, and he says he's a criminal defense attorney on his website, which is amazing. That's good news. We looked at the other two websites, and I didn't see much criminal law, if any at all. So what does he focus on? Homicide. Focuses his practices on homicide. It's the first one. Drug charges, sexual assault, burglary, theft. So sort of the classic criminal charges. He says criminal defense is a specialized area, requires someone with experience, knowledge, know-how, and so on. Person's liberty is at stake. The stakes can be no greater. I really believe that. I don't think that the stakes could be greater in anything, in any other area of law, than they are in criminal law. This is why the cornerstone of all clients' representation is a thorough investigation, both factually and legally, so that no potential defenses are left unexplored. I always like when I see a defense attorney talk about defenses, because a lot of the time they don't. It's kind of funny. If you look at different marketing websites, they don't really talk about, about defenses. They talk about the law a lot. You'll get a lot of the law, tons and tons of law. What is the law? They'll tell you on their website, well, if you get convicted of a DUI, here are the penalties. You can go to jail for this, and you can pay this fine, and you can get probation for this amount of time, and you have to get an interlock device and all those things. And they'll give you all of the law. Next time you're on an attorney's website, look for that. But they don't tell you about the defenses. They don't tell you the how and the ways that the defenses work, which I've made a big point to try to provide education about that, specifically here on this YouTube channel. Before this show sort of was a thing, that's all I did was just talk about defenses and the law, and a lot of law, no question about it, but a lot of defenses. So, and my point is, this guy is talking about defenses, which is great. He's also saying, leave no stone unturned, which is very standard criminal defense language. No case is too big or small, which means he'll probably take, some of the smaller DUIs and things. And he's also tried over 100 jury trials, ranging from simple 2-day operating while intoxicated, so that would be like a DUI, to month-long homicide or drug conspiracy trials. If you were someone you know, so on and so forth. So that's good news. This guy has a lot of experience, and he's a sharp-looking fellow right there. He looks like he probably has a lot of confidence and presents well and looks good in the courtroom, and people will be receptive to his message. And, the judges are going to know this guy. If he's been practicing criminal defense law for a very long period of time out of this jurisdiction, they're going to know him. And we're going to learn more about him, I'm sure. We're going to learn more a little bit about his reputation and how he handles these cases. And he may start, putting out some public statements, and we'll see if he does. But this is going to be a very interesting case to continue to follow, and we will certainly do that. So that's the update on Kyle Rittenhouse. Let's see if I have anything else. I do not on that one. So his next court date, the next one that we're going to be looking for, is going to be on September 25th. And that's going to be the time where they tell us, or we hopefully will know a little bit more about what they're doing. Are they going to move him from Illinois to Wisconsin, or are they going to keep him in Illinois? What's going to happen? So there's going to be a lot more to dive through when we get there. So if you're not already a subscriber here, hit the subscribe button, because we've got a lot more coming on that.